Okay, why upgrade to the new standard vise? The new standard vise, because of the design, it should eliminate any blade lean. Any blade lean you see is because you haven't placed it where you want it before you start to tighten. So when you start to tighten it, you'll see if it's leaning a little bit, you'll straighten it up. The new vices have rubber inserts that slide down in there and the knife sets on top of them, and they are different depths, and you use the one that corresponds to how deep you need to set your knife in there, and you set it on top of that like a rest. So then when you're clamping the screws up, then you keep that knife supported. That was a challenge with this vise, because not only did you have to get the knife where you wanted it and get it this way, but you also had to get it up and down in there. So you were freehand holding the knife while you were trying to first get the tension on it and then the jacking screw. So it was a multi-step process. And when you're sharpening a knife for the first time, trying to find the sweet spot, it became challenging to get that dialed in. This, with the depth stop and the separate, that the way that it clamps, if the heel is thick and the tip is thinner, you can adjust the tension on each screw and it'll flex with that. Plus it's got the depth stops, and then you don't have the lean anymore. Okay, the economics of it. Clay just introduced this. Let me tell you how this came about. Just step back. I got the dual cam vise upgrade, which we're going to talk about next, a couple weeks ago. And I emailed Clay and I hadn't heard from him, and I let it lay. And then Thursday, I said, let me follow up on this. And I followed up on that. I said, by the way, Clay, you know, we're talking about the dual cam vise upgrade. What's happening with the new standard vise? I call it the twin clamp because it's two clamps held side by this mounting bracket. So I call it twin clamp standard vise. And he said, we just have to do the catalog work to get it posted on our website. And a few minutes later, he got back and he said, no, he says that we have it ready and we're ready to move forward. And since Thursday to today, they have put these up on the website. They're $75 for an upgrade. Now, let's talk about it a little bit. The old standard vise, the vise fits into the base. It's notched. It's a certain depth. That was how they were first designed in 2005 or whatever. That's what I purchased in 2015 or 16. I'm looking for my riser block. My original riser block was solid, one hole, like 2016. But the way that the block was designed was the way that the block was designed. As time went on, Wicked Edge learned that you can achieve the same thing, the way things interlock, without going so deep. So the fit, as you see, there's a gap. The fit on the new stuff is different than the fit on the old stuff. But the concept is the same. Everything fits in the inset. Just there's different eras to the blocks. And that's what Doug and I have been working towards the past couple years, is in anticipation of these new models coming out and the old models, trying to figure out a way to blend them together to invite old users that found this challenging, and it's a pain to use this. What happened was we got so good and we're using microscopes and we're looking at it and all of our edges are uneven height. As hard as we worked at, and it was just too hard to balance and count your stroke and to offset that lean, that when they came out with this, it was just like wonderful. This new vise. I'm going to stop here.